Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Federica Manfredi, and I'm a PhD student in medical anthropology at the University of Lisbon. And today I present a paper originating by a reflection developed with Chiara Pussetti, who is auxiliary researcher at the Institute of Social Sciences at the University of Lisbon. We present a practice-based ethnography still in course of development that aims to contribute in the panel discussion on load-bearing bodies, unjust relations and liberatory horizon proposed by Nicholas Cavellai and Chiara Schwartz, that I thank, at the annual meeting of the Society for Social Studies of Science. The Hacked Barbie is a workshop series we develop as dissemination activity of the research project Excel, the Pursuit of Excellence, a project led by PI Chiara Pussetti and financed by the Fundação para a Ciência e Tecnologia. From 2017, Excel explores body practices aiming to enhance the social performativity through long-term and not therapeutic body modification, investigating cosmetic medical tourism, cognitive enhancement, hormonal enhancement, and ethnic cosmetic practices, among others topics. We look at bodies as responsibilities of individuals, mirror of the self in the sense of Chris Schilling, that is expected to perform in terms of excellence at home, at work, at school, and also in front of a screen. The perfection or the excellence correspond to Eurocentric and post-colonial logics, discriminating on the basis of age, gender, race, class, and economical power. The Hacked Barbie tried to disseminate the results of the Excel project, and we proposed the Liberatory for the first time at the World Anthropology Day in 2021. Due to pandemic restrictions, the workshop was led online. So far, we repeated the experience 5 times, collecting 53 participants, mainly in Portugal and Italy, and new international editions are in agenda. At each workshop, we ask participants to reproduce their body on a doll. The Barbie is a symbol of gendered illusionary perfection, and the creative process turns visible how we construct our own bodies. Participants will lead in modifying, in hackering their Barbies individually and before the workshop. When we met, we shared our products and we discussed a lot about their symbolic meanings. The Barbies show structural inequalities in the gendered performance of perfection, sometimes with practices that criticize hegemonic models of beauty, and, most of the time, confirming the embodiment of values perceived as appropriate or suited for my age, as in the case of Lucia, that I'm going to illustrate. In the following slide, I will show you some pictures of Hacked Barbie showing the pressure participants feel to properly perform in the social context through their bodies. Diversified for age and educational level, participants were mainly women. Bodies are load-bearing of cultural expectations, and individual strategies visible in Hacked Barbies reveal the disparities, the load, and the negotiation that such bodies and people have to deal with. Please be aware that some of the following picture may disturb a sensitive audience. Lucia, 71 years old, reflects through her Barbie on the sign of time that have marked her body as wounds. The choice of clothes is certainly one of the ways in which we have to work with our body appearance. Lucia created a grey skirt for her Barbie, long enough to cover her knees. She defines it as an appropriate behavior since she is aging. Clothes are tools to fight also against an increasing volume of her shapes. Instead to liposuction interventions or strict dietary regimes, she changed her way of dressing to hide a body that is no longer considered adequate and that can no longer be proudly displayed. The body that changes with age must be hidden, camouflaged. Clothing serves to hide and protect from the gaze of the others. Against aging, Lucia explains, we can only fight up to a certain point, because then time wins. The face turns grey, the hair, the wrinkle. From now on, it will be always more and more every day. I can only hope to age well, with a certain decorum. It is the individual's responsibility to limit the visible effects of defeat, to fight hard against the passage of time. As Chiara Pussetti wrote, aging relegates women to invisibility. The value of a woman largely depends on attributes as beauty, sexual attraction, fertility, that irretrievably vanish with age. In our society, beauty is a value and an obligation. Workshop participants invest a lot of money, time and energy, emotions and expectations in the beauty markets in a plurality of actions aimed at mitigating the sense of inadequacy. The important thing is not to appear lazy, drawn, tired or neglected. A woman who does not value herself. The parts of the body considered social, the face, hairs, hands, which can hardly be covered and hidden with a wise choice of clothing, require more investments. Hands can't have nibble nails, peeling part or look like the damage of housework. They are a business card and must be always in order, as Maria says. Normative rules are intimately incorporated. Norms becomes desires, something personal, which correspond to our will. Because I deserve and I have to value myself. Love me, take care of me, in the words of Maria. Similarly, she talks about her weekly manicure because I eat my nails and I don't want to feel embarrassed to show my hands in public. Taking care of my hands makes me calm and more comfortable in social interactions. The dimension of external perception emerged from the analysis of many of the modification and improvement action that the workshop participants report. Attractive bodies are produced, regulated and disciplined on the basis of disciplines, aesthetic but also moral, experienced not as obligation but as aspirations, desires and values. Free and autonomous choices encouraged and legitimized by different discourses, the medical one, treatment, control and prevention, the moral one, personal development, responsibility, willpower, and the media, globalization of virtual images of beauty, youth and success. We are condemned to always confront these models, even when we decide to challenge them. The choice against ends up emphasizing even more what would be the expected and the opportune. In this sense, many of the Barbie workshop attendees share the pressure of waxing. In Lydia's work, body hair is presented as an element that characterizes a path of discovery and acceptance of my body. The hairless women represent an orderly and clean, impeccable femininity, which a weaver, continues Lydia, cannot pass the examination of the mirror. I don't like looking at myself. How can I look at myself? There is always something wrong, something bad, different from the desired idea. In addition to the hair, there is the cellulite, continues Lydia, which creates what she defines as a physical defect and which she represents by sticking a pen into Barbie's smooth flesh. Cellulite, according to her, is natural, it's part of normal bodies, and I want my Barbie to be like women really are, with hair and cellulite. This version of naturality, anyway, exposed to gazes and social reactions, revealing the inadequacy of such bodies. Lydia knows that, and that's why she can't look herself in the mirror. Only an Afro-European girl born and raised in Europe in the 90s transforms her doll to reflect on how beauty ideals are completely Eurocentric, linked to a white beauty ideal. Only remembers that she was the only black child in almost every context, and my body was considered something different by my peers. I was always in the spotlight. For a long time, I tried not to attract too much attention. Very European clothes, nothing too colorful, so as not to attract the strange look on me. Those comments, those hands that touch my hair, my skin, it's something very invasive, violent. Ollie talks about her other corporal techniques put in place to reduce the exotic erotic effect of hair corporality. For a long time I practiced hair straightening, which is a technique that includes very aggressive straightening creams. They are chemical products that are not good for your health and completely ruin the hair. When I turned 17, I decided to completely shave my head. It was a turning point. With the symbolic act of shaving her head, she regains ownership of herself, tracing a new path of reappropriation of her multiple identities and deconstructing the femininity of a classic white Barbie. Ollie tells us a story of progressive awareness that is still going on. Her doll does not celebrate a goal achieved, but a condition of consciousness in becoming. At the end of the workshop, Ollie confessed that Hacked Barbie was another step in a journey she has already started years ago, but this experience gave her the occasion to focus on her vulnerabilities and her progresses. Holy Barbies forced us to think about how beauty ideals define human being in terms of class, age, race, identity, and sexual orientation. The work of identity through the Barbie show how we are not only active subject but also agents involved in constant processes of construction and modification of our corporality and subjectivity, constrained by hegemonic patterns that create hierarchy in conforming bodies more or less adequate, but about which we can and must have an opinion in order to guarantee fairer and more inclusive plural destinies. During the debate, many questions emerged that we need to think about and work on together to elaborate proposals for an aesthetic that wants to be more open to the plurality of bodily expressions. Is it possible from an anthropological reflection and through artistic intervention to problematize and transform and decolonize our perception of beauty and the ways in which we experience our appearance? Will it be possible to change the lens with which we look at our characteristics as defects and that need to be corrected? Can art constitute a political intervention against the imperative of the normalization of bodies and the moral economies of beauty? How we can educate ourselves to a more aesthetic, comprehensive and inclusive body culture? Educating means proposing new images and discourses that pave the way for a decolonization of aesthetic at school, in the fashion and cosmetic industry, emphasizing and enhancing the beauty that exists in diversity, regardless of skin color, age, size, and shapes of the body, origin and place of birth, gender identity, sexual orientation, functional diversity, allowing for rethinking and retracing the boundaries of the definition of beauty and contesting representations that promote prejudice and discriminatory stereotype attitudes. We thank you for your attention.